Why do global supply chains cause labor exploitation in poor nations? Imagine a world where a t-shirt made in a small factory in a developing country ends up on a store shelf thousands of miles away. Now, think about the journey that shirt takes and the people behind it. This is the reality of global supply chains, which connect producers in poor nations with big companies and consumers in wealthier countries. But this system often hides a darker side: labor exploitation. Companies want to keep costs low to stay competitive and make more money. To do this, they often outsource production to countries where wages are much lower. This means factories pay workers very little, sometimes below the minimum wage, and workers often have to work long hours in unsafe conditions. These factories are usually in places where labor laws are weak or poorly enforced. Governments in these countries might lack the resources or political will to regulate or inspect factories properly. As a result, violations like child labor, forced labor, and dangerous working environments become common. Many workers in these poor nations are vulnerable because of high unemployment and poverty. They often have no other options, so they accept jobs that are insecure and pay very little. Women, children, migrants, and marginalized groups are especially at risk because they have less power to demand fair treatment or better wages. Informal jobs, which are outside official regulations, are widespread and often the only option for many workers. These jobs usually come with no social protections like health benefits or job security. The complexity of global supply chains makes it even harder to hold companies accountable. Multiple layers of subcontractors and middlemen hide who is responsible for workers' conditions. A company might say they only work with a certain supplier, but that supplier might have many subcontractors with even worse conditions. This diffusion of responsibility allows exploitation to continue without much consequence. Furthermore, the social and historical context plays a role. Many of these poor nations have a history of colonialism and racial capitalism, which has created long-standing inequalities. Certain groups are often seen as cheap labor and are kept in low-wage jobs because of racial or gender biases. These patterns keep the cycle of exploitation going, making it hard for workers to break free. Addressing this issue requires more than just better laws. It needs international cooperation to create stronger labor standards and ensure companies are transparent about their supply chains. Supporting workers' rights and encouraging collective organizing can also make a difference. When we understand that labor exploitation is part of a bigger system rooted in inequality and profit motives, we can see why change is necessary. So, the reason why global supply chains often cause labor exploitation in poor nations is because they are built to prioritize profit, relying on vulnerable workers, and operate within weak regulatory environments. Fixing this means working together across borders to make sure workers are treated fairly and that the global economy benefits everyone, not just a few.